County. More for information's sake. The only one listed is, for the township, is the one on Old Gravel Pike Road, which is currently closed.
So does this have any impact on us in Lower Frederick? So it's just FYI, what you'd like to know. Okay. But if we were to hypothetically have the money, or someone had the money to repair the old stone bridge, then what would the impact be?
Well, hopefully to reopen it.
Okay, but I mean, this thing about the weight limits.
This is just reiterating the current status of that bridge.
Okay.
Also under correspondence, we have a letter from Josh Embry, tax collector. He's requesting use of the building for meetings. I guess this subject had been brought up before in the past, and the supervisors had disapproved of the use of the building.
No, they had deferred discussion, as I recall. I think it was never resolved. I'd like to express my thoughts on the matter. I think we need a policy for use of the building. I think there are groups out there that would like to use it and should be able to use it if people live in the township and they pay taxes that go to the upkeep of the building. But with barring having any written policy, I think what's happened in the past is it's been a one-off decision, which is going to mean some people are going to be happy and other people will be unhappy. I think if we have a well-thought-out policy that lays out who can and cannot and what the reasons are, then people will be able to come and understand and use it. So that's my opinion. For what it's worth, we've never had a policy. So it's easy just to say no, or I guess to say yes, but I think there should be a reason for it.
You know, on that note, I did a little research on this, taking a look at what some of the other townships are doing in this area, and frankly, you can look at several townships or boroughs in Montgomery County, Chester County, Delaware County, Bucks County. So I pulled up two. I only made 3 copies, but I'm happy to make more copies. But and I'll give him this one. But Upper Dublin, for example, they allow political groups for free events, but they have it as a permitted use, so they actually have it written down in policy. Now, Northampton Township, their free library, take a look at number 7. And explicitly states for political purposes a disclaimer must be added so that the township isn't seen as being proactive towards one thing or the other.
The other thing I would like to see in the policy we come up with is, well, 2 things. I'm going to address the political group issue first. So is the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazi Party a political group? So I just want to make sure, however we write it, we don't have hate groups coming in here. And I don't know how you would do that without being discriminatory. We should not be discriminatory, but I think the township should not allow hate groups here. So are they political groups? That's one question. The second thing is, I'm not sure I'm in favor of having for-profit groups coming in here. So I don't think we should have someone coming in here selling things for their own benefit. Now, if we have a nonprofit coming in here who lives in the township, wants to raise money to improve the park or to donate to, a children's organization, I don't have an issue with that. And the third thing is that people who use the group, at least some of them should live in the township. We should not have a totally outside group come in here, because this building is funded by taxpayer dollars, and I don't think we should have people from being a person coming in here. So,
If I'm not mistaken, the Upper Dublin one mandates that there must be at least one person that is a resident. I'm sorry.
Yes. A few years ago, I had come before the supervisors, and our Women's Civic Club of Schweinsville meets here, and we do pay for the use of the room when we are here. And there are several of us that do reside in Lower Frederick Township, and we're very appreciative that we are able to meet here. And we have small fundraisers, but not here. They're outside the township building, and we do donate all that money back to the different civic organizations.
But I think groups like yours are exactly what we could use the township building for. these, you know, worthwhile events or just organizations that want to use the meeting room, want to send them in here. So I think until we have a policy in place, we don't have a chair. Maybe until we have a policy in place, should we postpone this barring a written policy, or?
I mean, I would,
Thank you.
if we're gonna do something, we should put a policy in place.
And what if, for example, a group comes in and they leave a mess? How do other places deal with that?
Just based on my research, again, of different municipalities, suburban Philadelphia region. First off, these copies that you guys might be looking at right now, it's only one page of a several page document. And I only print out specific things based on Josh's correspondence. I saw that he looked like he was referencing one specific type of meeting, so I was highlighting a couple things. Again, these types of policies are very easy to find online. So rather than, you know, recreate the wheel, just take a look at what might work in some other municipalities and gear towards what we think is appropriate for Lower Frederick.
The other issue that has come up is access to the building. So for example, if someone wants to meet here after business hours, do we give them a key, or does someone who has authority to have a key let them in? That's another thing we have to address. I don't know how the other organizations do that.
That gets touchy. Now all of a sudden you give a key out to somebody and they get one made.
Well, I'm not
they
suggesting we
make
do
one,
that, but we have to
yeah.
think through that issue.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I drafted a policy already, so I'll check my records and send that out to everybody tomorrow. Still working on security for the building as far as the fobs. If that goes through, we could very easily deny or allow access to certain people at certain times, certain hours. So that would solve that issue.
Could you explain to everyone what you're talking about?
What we're looking into is we've actually talked to 2 security companies. My main concern is the police department, because they're very vulnerable. Getting a new door for them downstairs, a steel door, which only is key fob access. This door out here also, and the key or the door to the office here. And the other thing we looked at, we're looking at getting cameras as well. Probably locating 3 cameras out here in the parking lot. And talking to some of the security people, in order to get the best angles, to get the best view, we need 3 cameras out here. And also for down at the police department, they would need 2, one outside the door and one in the parking lot area. Chief Maxey and I are working on that currently, so hopefully we'll have something to you guys soon.
But the beauty of the key fob would be like a hotel room key, right? You give it out to someone to come in.
The key fob works that,
And then you
because
just cancel
these
it.
gyms have
Yeah.
it, you know,
Yeah.
you can just swipe it, you walk, you can go in, and it locks right behind you. So that's the way the fob.
And then if we know who's coming in at certain hours, we can program it.
Yes, you can shut it off
Yeah.
and lock it up,
Right.
that nobody can get in.
Right.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll have some more information in the next couple of weeks or so.
So how do you want to respond to Josh Embry then? We're working on it?
Tell them we tabled it, and then we're working on a policy, and we hope to have something in place very soon.
Okay. And if you have any thoughts on how to not get us on the front page of the paper because the Nazi Party decided to come here, because our policy allowed them, and at the same time, I mean, what do you think, Rowan? How can we be compliant with freedom of speech, but, I mean,
Protect yourself.
I mean, you will always, on some level, risk opening up to some unpopular group that is going to be permitted to meet in your facility. Whether it's unpopular because they're pro-choice or pro-life, you know, I don't know. But it, you know, doesn't necessarily have to be a Boyertown plan issue.
I'm more concerned about groups that could be violent
And I don't,
or embarrass the township. I mean, are they considered political parties? Maybe that's the
I'm pretty sure that there are designs against, and I've read some policies against certain, the Nazis, fascist
Hate
groups. And hate is one word,
Groups that espouse
very vague
violence.
word, but certainly violence could be a central theme to prohibiting a group from using the facility. But that is going to take some, probably the most delicate writing of the policy, because you do, I mean, you're asking, and absolutely you want something where you have discretion to say, and you want a definition, some sort of definition somewhere of what a political group is, so that those people do not fall into it. And you can say you are not a political group. Is a political group, and I'm just saying, is it the Democratic and Republican parties? Are they organized political groups that we're talking about?
And here it says that the Upper Dublin Township is empowered to deny use of township facilities to any applicant when the denial is deemed appropriate. So is that the way they cover themselves?
And they're leaving it up to their discretion. The only, I mean, it's a question in each case, when they use their discretion, is that going to be discriminatory? You know, I mean, it's up to the person.
If they take it any
using their
further.
discretion. The general rule, whenever we're looking at this, is that if you open it up to one, you open it up to all.
Okay.
So saying anything else, leans towards discriminatory.
Because they're open for meetings and gatherings of general interest that are open to the public. Well, maybe that's the thing. They'd have to open up their, I mean, if the Ku Klux Klan came in, they'd have to open up their meeting to the public. Maybe that would be the way to describe. I mean, I'm just looking at the worst case scenario, but I just want to make sure that the way this is written is appropriate.
But then everybody else would have to open it up to the public.
Yeah.
Everybody, even if you would have a Democratic Party or a Republican
yeah.
Party, you'd have to open it up to the public.
Do you have more examples of this?
This is a simple Google search. I could pull up my phone right now and show you several other examples.
Probably
But
get 50 of them.
exactly, I mean, it's really, a lot of municipalities and municipalities are doing it across the suburban Philadelphia area. It's just taking a look at these two. I thought these were just simplistic examples of things that if we are looking at proceeding further, that we could mimic instead of recreating the wheel. Particularly, again, like Northampton Township, putting some sort of disclaimer on it, making sure that in case people have concerns about one group meeting over another group, the Lower Frederick Township is obviously not endorsing or advocating for one group over another.
Did you look at any indication of what percentage don't allow any meetings?
So there were some groups, some municipalities that indicated that they will have no political meetings. Nothing that might relate to campaigning or whatever it might be. Again, I could find examples, and it's a simple Google search again, and I mean, I could email it to the
Well, college was an example, just for an example. No political groups in their parks or in their buildings or anything like that. And no political messages at all.
Well, that's, a political message is different from a political party having a meeting, so.
Yeah, no organization, no organized political events at all.
So, I think what Josh Embry is asking for, it's not a political event, it's a meeting of a political. So I understand what you're saying, we should not open up the township building to have candidates come in here and have campaign meetings.
No, I'm not
But
for or
that
against,
might
I'm not
be
for or against
different.
anything. I just knew from my experience that Collegeville doesn't have any kind of political meeting.
Because this says political groups, it does not
And
say
these are
political activity.
just suggestions for people that hold political meetings, but there are a number of municipalities, like Lower Frederick currently, or up until now, hasn't allowed political events yet.
But this would open it up to other groups like the Girl Scouts or,
It may be
Other
open
groups
to
of
the Girl
clubs.
Scouts or civic events. I mean, we do have a civic club that meets here.
but what
So
I'm
on a
saying is
case-by-case
having a
basis.
policy
Yeah.
would make it more
Easier.
transparent to groups and saying, oh, well, I don't have a place to meet Maybe we can meet at, like your group.
Yeah. And it's just real.
Can we
Oh,
write it
do
up
meet
that
now,
we
okay.
do it on a case-by-case basis, and simple as that?
Well, absolutely, there will be discretion. There will be, and there has to be.
I know,
So
somebody will
that
come in
if
and say, well, you
Kevin
let the Girl
feels-
Scouts in, why don't you let my group in?
Well, Kevin
And
knows,
that's what'll happen.
Kevin knows, and there are some nonprofits that are really for-profit.
Yeah.
So Kevin could see
And
that.
we can't do
and say-
fundraisers, we can't have sales of anything in here, I think that's pretty clear cut.
So, but I think it's great, it's great, we'll work on the policy, and if that's the direction that you wanna go, Josh will be excited.
But I think having an application, I mean, all of these require you to apply, you can't just turn up. You have to apply, you have
And
to,
I didn't read it, but I bet there's at least one person that signs the application and guarantees against any damages.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It's what I was reading right there.
I mean, I'm really more concerned about if there's groups that involve children. I'm not worried about the adults causing damage. If kids come in here and, I don't know, crayon on the walls or something. I'm not concerned about the grown-ups.
We're old ladies.
Doing it.
I mean, did Josh ask the firehouse?
I
I mean,
don't
that's-
know, I don't know.
They probably charge him.
I'll send out what I have, and I'll send you a copy, and go from there, I suppose. And then bring it up next meeting.
All right.
Can I make a comment on Josh,
Yes.
for what had happened before? It was actually the supervisor's idea to have Josh come here. He didn't actually ask, because he didn't have Clarence Huntsburg, you paid your taxes, it was worth your life on 29. And you never knew who's gonna be the tax collector. And to try to park over where Josh is at, there is no spots. So the whole idea was, it's just safe, it's easy, people can park and come and go. It was more for the residents, was our idea. And we did make a motion, to approve having Josh, or the tax collector, whoever it is, have the office there. Just for that reason, that was basically how we came about that.
Well, his request was to have a party meeting.
Oh, a party meeting, I
Yes.
thought you just.
Yeah.
No,
just-
no, no. It wasn't clear.
I was wondering how we got,
No, that wasn't the issue, is to be able to have like a political, an
Oh, I
official
see.
political party meeting, and use the township building as a meeting place.
Would that be something worthy of, comparing notes in their regional planning group to see how the other adjoining municipalities are handling that matter, and perhaps there could be some consistency with what Lower Frederick decides on? I mean, is that something that we want to look at or entertain?
If I'm making too much of a big deal.
No, I
guess
mean,
then we
the thing is,
should.
some townships just don't wanna bother and they have no policy, and other townships have a policy, so I think you're gonna find one or the other, they're really moving in between. So I think finding the examples, if we decide to go forward, we need to find a good example that's gonna work for us, or we decide to just not do it. But again, we do have the yoga group here, I mean, we have allowed people to come in here, so I think it's good to have a policy so people understand, like, well, why are these groups here? Well, because this is our policy and this is what they do, and, so we do actually have an unwritten policy of having groups come in, we just never formalized it, I say. And thanks for doing the research, this is great. If you want to send us some links, have at it.
Absolutely.
All right,
we'll look into it.
I'll send out what I have and then talk about it on the third again.
Yeah, and just tell them, we don't think it's right to have a one-off decision on his request unless we have a policy that would be applied fairly to every request.
Next correspondence is from Linwood Township Police Department. They're requesting use of the township's fire police for their fireworks display on July 4th.
well, we'd have to notify Tommy
Right.
and ask him if they could do it.
Okay.
Did we do this
I mean,
last year?
Yeah, we give them out, we allow it. I'd say we'd allow it if Tommy will allow it.
Okay. All right.
So just really quick, my question is, just what happens if there's an emergency locally?
Well, they all work together,
Okay.
they do. I mean, we don't wanna get into what they do. They do such a great job, they do. So, let's not step on their toes.
Last, and I gave everybody a copy, received a letter from Lorraine today. Dear Kevin, please accept this letter as my official resignation effective immediately. I apologize for the short notice, but as you know, the past several weeks I have been hospitalized with a serious illness. Due to that illness, unfortunately, I'm unable to continue working. It has been a pleasure to serve Lower Frederick for these past 44 years, and I hope the township continues to grow and flourish. So, I would need a motion to accept that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. And then I have discussion on that matter later in the agenda. I would like to have an executive session too, short executive session, to send everybody an email to talk about some legal issues and also personnel.
And can I
I
just,
did see that.
can I just request that in the minutes, you say something that acknowledges Lorraine Cuddy's commitment and
Sure.
long dedicated years of service to this community? She'll be missed.
Okay. I can certainly do that. All right.
Yes, she will. I'll tell you, she's been here a long, long time.
44 years of service.
So if I can have a motion.
Make a motion.
Okay.
To accept
To-
the resignation.
Right.
already
We
that.
did that.
We need to-
Okay, all right, so it's,
Is there any discussion?
any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. That's everything I have under correspondence. Administrative actions, you'll see the sewer report in your packet. Very obviously sketchy. Bonnie and I are trying our best to handle paying bills and doing all the stuff that Lorraine has done. A little swamped, as you can understand, so the report is just the sewer.
Kevin, are you looking for somebody to do that work temporarily, or?
I have somebody actually coming in next Monday, kind of acting as a third party at this point, but
Okay.
whether, Township decides to go that route or hire somebody full-time, part-time, I think we'll need to discuss
I
that.
just knew of somebody that I think I can convince to come in and just help you, get you by if you need it.
Okay,
That's Terry, that's Bill O'Donnell's wife, and he's the president of the Upper Frederick Fire Company.
Oh, okay, I know who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to explain to everybody, I think we're gonna discuss what the needs of the township are in terms of Lorraine's replacement, whether it will be somebody who works the same amount of time as her, more or less, permanent, temporary. So I think Kevin's idea is, because we have nobody in here doing the work, to get someone in here temporarily to do what we need done, because we don't have no Lorraine. We haven't had her for, what, 2 weeks?
3 weeks.
And it's a big gap, so.
There's a lot of bills
this-
on my desk.
So this may or may not be an official permanent person, but we do have to have someone come in to do the work immediately. So we're not trying to bypass anything, we just need the work done.
Linda.
Linda Jansen, Simmons Road.